Hey guys, I just wanted to make a quick video replying to all of your ProQuest assessments from last week. Most of you said that you felt really comfortable with ProQuest, and that's great. A couple of people mentioned kind of like some struggle with using ProQuest for finding all the sources in the annotated bibliography. So I feel like I need to clarify, you don't only have to use ProQuest to find sources for your annotated bibliography. Last week, I introduced the Scholarly Article Project, where you have to find a scholarly article, and Google is not going to be as helpful in finding a scholarly article, which is why I spent so much time focusing on ProQuest. But I think it's also important to know that you can absolutely use Google for finding your sources. In fact, I think that there will probably be some sources that you might have a really hard time finding if you're only going to use ProQuest. That's not to say that you can't use that you can't find all of the types of sources you need on ProQuest, but I think it will be difficult. So I just really quickly want to go through the annotated bib source types and just talk real quick about like what I would expect for you. So first you have, one of the sources that has to be cited on your annotated bib is your primary source, your movie or your TV show. ProQuest is not going to be helpful for you there. Obviously, you just need to know the criteria of citing a movie or a TV show. That content is in the MLA folder, like in the MLA section in the to-do list. So look for it there. If you can't find it, let me know. You cite it, you've watched your movie, you've seen your TV show, whether that's a specific episode you're only going to focus on, or whether you're citing the whole entire show. Even if you're maybe just focusing on a couple episodes, cite the whole show. Summarize it and say, how are you going to use it in your paper? You're going to compare and contrast the career that's portrayed, etc. So ProQuest, for the first one, not going to help you. A source written by an expert in the career field could be helpful on ProQuest, but you could also find this in Google. So some sources written by experts could be, if you, maybe what you want to do is go to Google and search like who are the experts on, and then type in the career. So who are the experts on teaching? And then once you find out who the experts are, or, there's probably going to be varied opinions on that, but pick an expert and look for their work. Look for their work on ProQuest. You can do an advanced search where you look just for the author's name, and then maybe also like, some keyword. If you figure out, who's the expert on the topic. And if that's not helping you find what you're looking for, maybe you go through a couple experts, go to Google, and, say like, teaching article published by, insert the author's name, who you're looking for. If you search on Google, like, who are the experts in this field, and you don't really learn about anything, then it's okay to kind of change gears a little bit. It's okay to say, okay, maybe I can find a YouTube interview with someone who's been teaching for 20 years, if teaching is your subject matter, or, someone who's been doing the job for a long time. If you know someone, maybe you're looking at nursing, and like your mom or your grandma or your dad or whatever has been a nurse for 15 plus years. Interview them. That's perfectly fine. You can send them email them some questions, and hopefully they'll respond to you in a timely manner. And then you can use that. So ProQuest could be helpful here, but maybe not. Maybe it's okay to just look at Google. The other thing that I'm looking for is your job searching on ONET. So what you want to do is search for, if we're talking about teacher, you want to type that in, figure out which teacher it is that you're actually trying to analyze. If you're watching a show, let's say you're watching Boy Meets World, and he's, Mr. Feeney is in like middle school. It's the what you're analyzing is a middle school teacher. So, you know, you click on the specific job that you're looking for. This is the source that I want you to summarize, you know, summarize kind of the main idea that you find as you skim through the content here. But obviously, again, ProQuest isn't helpful here to find this source. A scholarly article, ProQuest will definitely be a really helpful source for you. And again, you know, when you're doing that basic search or whatever, make sure that you've got peer-reviewed and full text boxes selected so you can find a scholarly article. A source from a credible website in the career field. So again, ProQuest is not a credible website in a career field. ProQuest might catalog in their database sources from credible websites. Like you might be able to find sources from the American Academy of Pediatrics, for example, you know, if you're looking at maybe like what a pediatrician's job is, but Google is probably going to be more helpful for you here. And then finally, a secondary source, and this is the article, or this is the source type that most of my students have the hardest time finding, mostly because they're just confused on what I'm looking for. So here, a secondary source providing an interpretation of the movie or TV show that relates to the goals of this unit. There are plenty of people who have asked the same questions about these movies and TV shows that we are asking. And so what I would do is I would just go to Google and I would type in this question. Does movie or TV show, so you know, put that in, accurately portray, and then whatever the job is, and put that question in. So does, obviously one of my favorite examples, Grey's Anatomy, accurately portray surgeons? Other people have spent a lot of time answering this question. False things Grey's Anatomy told you about medicine. 9 ways your job is nothing like Grey's Anatomy. Experts reveal the latest and most accurate medical shows. I mean, these are all, you know, I think some students might say, well, thelist.com, is that necessarily credible? You can always go in and see if they're citing their sources. They've got some links you can click. They've got links to studies, so they are hyperlinking you to some sources. Just because you see this .com kind of listicle type article doesn't necessarily mean it's not helpful for this project, because I would argue that it is. You know, there might, like, this is an obvious one, and this is one that people question a lot. So there might be times when you don't necessarily, maybe Google doesn't have anything. Like, does Harry Potter accurately portray teaching? I don't know if I'm going to find anything. I've never really thought about it, but we've got some articles that terrible teaching, the Hogwarts professors who could do with something, a lesson themselves. So I don't know, Harry Potter's pretty popular. Maybe people are asking these types of questions as well, but that's the type of question that I would type in order to find a source that's this 6th bullet point here. And in that way, honestly, ProQuest can be helpful for these, but honestly, I think that Google is going to be a lot more helpful, with the exception of a scholarly article. With that being said, for your scholarly article project, not your MLA project, ProQuest is your best source. ProQuest has the most scholarly articles at your fingertips that you have free access to. So I would certainly use ProQuest to find an article for scholarly article project. One other thing I've spent some time talking with students about over the past week is just kind of priorities. MLA project should always be your priority. Scholarly article project is simple and quick, and you should only do it when you just have some extra time too. Those deadlines are flexible. You can turn them in whenever. So I don't want you to spend, 5 hours like searching for a scholarly article for your scholarly article project. Spend 5 hours doing your MLA project annotated bib instead. A couple of just quick updates. Where should you be on your annotated bib? I think by the end of this week, if you have found all of your sources and maybe read a couple of them, then next week you can just be kind of summarizing them, starting to create the document for your annotated bib and working on that. If you're ahead of the game, that's great. If you haven't found any of your sources yet, I would say you still have plenty of time this week to start working on that. If you haven't picked your MLA project topic, so you don't know the career you're analyzing and what movie or TV show it's corresponding with, you're behind. And I would say if you have some ideas, but you just haven't settled on one, settle on one and get to researching. If you have no idea what you're going to do, send me an email. We can talk through it. But yeah, the other thing I wanted to say is just most of you, again, said that you had no issue with ProQuest, that it was like you were figuring it out, or if you had questions, you'd let me know. I just want to confirm, please, if you have any questions while you're working on ProQuest, definitely let me know. I can make you a tutorial video or whatever. And one other thing is just, if you are struggling finding a particular source type, please send me an email. I love to research myself. I would be happy to help you find what you're looking for, and walk you through the process of how I found it, so that, while maybe I find it for you, you know how to find something similar in the future. So anyway, okay, I hope this is helpful for you guys. If you need anything, I'm here. I just hang out in my office all day, so let me know what you need.